Yeah, I even looked into like some extreme examples where some of the investment for scalability would be moved to the front of the investment, and also some like extreme use cases like for video editing and streaming, and it still all came under 10K.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's definitely on my list of plans for the future, 100%. But I am not legally or financially in a position to do that, and I'm moving from this situation here in the next 30 days or so. And but I'm moving deeper into the desert, unfortunately.
Oh wow. So you definitely need to get this solar power thing up and running, man. Because I think the main thing that you really need is the you just really basically obviously is going to be this the solar panels, the inverters, and the battery. Um and you know, especially living in the desert where you have so much sun, it's gonna quickly um pay for itself versus hiring a company that's going to charge you like 20 some $1,000 just to do a simple solar setup, um making profit hand over fist.
Well, the current plan is to be back close, much closer to the East Coast within the next 2 years, plus or minus a couple of months.
Hmm.
And I don't want so like when I plan these things, though, God laughs, right? So I don't want to invest in the infrastructure here because I don't want to stay here, and I don't own the property that I'm on, so I couldn't use it as an investment, for someone else later. Um, but then what usually happens in my life is I end up, instead of it taking 2 years, it takes five, and so the solar power would have paid for itself anyway. But I think you get what I'm saying, where I'm coming from there.
Well, and then obviously it depending on how you build out your solar infrastructure, you can pack it up and take it with you, right?
No, I mean the money,
No,
right?
but
So
I'm talking
like,
about the solar panel itself. Even if it didn't pay for itself, you can pack it up and take it with you wherever you're going, so you can continue to.
but not the money. Like, I need the money, So like, in other words, if I had 7,000 right now, I would use it to relocate.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Um,
And that 7,000 over the next couple of years, the electricity costs will be, somewhere around 2 grand. So I'm banking on using that 5K to get the fuck out of the desert finally, after way too long. I've been here too long.
mm. Well, I mean, are you looking at any? I mean, because if you're moving deeper into the desert, uh, obviously,
Lower lower rent costs,
yes, yeah,
lower overall
yeah.
energy costs, and also uh, like that the relationship I have with the landowner is toxic at this point. So
But then you also, by moving
where I'm at
deeper,
right now,
okay, but by
go
moving
ahead.
deeper into the desert, even though you might be lowering your overhead, you're actually interfering with your ability to generate revenue. Like if you can, look at your proximity to civilization per se, opens up
Um,
additional
uh,
revenue streams.
I'm already geographically disconnected. That's why there's a lot more difficulty in the other areas of my life, is because I was able to accomplish that first. uh, I make all my money off of day trading and swing trading. That's my sole source of income, and so
But
I
you
could
can't
do it.
but you can't scale up unless you take more risk. That's the issue.
Actually, it's the other way around. I mean, initially, yeah, the more risk you take, the more you scale up. But the more you accumulate, the less risk you have to take for same or even more returns. That's the beautiful thing about the stock market is the
But
more.
but you're saying that you don't have the discretionary income to just buy solar power outright.
I
So
do. I mean, I could afford the solar panels in cash. I just that spending dropping that money on solar panels isn't part of my 5 year economic plan. I don't have, like I wouldn't get the 7K back tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It would take 3 years, 4 years to pay for it to pay for itself.
hmm okay.
And that's in
Well, I
the,
mean, well, okay. Let me ask you this.
yeah,
So if you're day trading, right? Obviously, you need a stable internet connection to consistently day trade, right? But my thing is that, okay, why are you confined to the United States? If I was a day trader and I was looking to really control cost, I wouldn't be living in the United States. There's so many other places that are significantly cheaper where I can have a higher quality of life, higher standard of living versus what I could afford in the United States at the same price. Then I could have I could pick the weather I want. Like, say, for instance, I lived in like Philippines, for instance, right? Philippines has areas that are tropic. They have areas in the mountains. So you can get the weather you want. And depending on where you're at, you still have access to first world amenities. If you're like in one of the major cities, Cebu, Manila, Davao City. Not That's not a major city, but you have areas where you have enclaves of Americans where you kind of if you're the type of person that you want to have an experience as close to the United States experience as possible, then you live in an area where there's a heavy amount of expats or tourists, things like that. So, and Philippines is just an example. I mean, if you really want to go stay off grid, Vietnam, there's a lot of places in Southeast Asia, Cambodia, um, Malaysia, and if you really want to have the ability to network, and Singapore might be an option. You're going to spend more, but the networking opportunities are there. So there's just, I don't know. I would think that I don't know if you've ever thought about that, going outside of the United States.
I have absolutely. It's and it's not ruled out as a possibility. But what happened was, um, uh, I gave you one example of like when plans started to meet implementation.
hmm
And so, just coincidentally, another opportunity had opened up for me, an excellent one in Ukraine. And I was getting into the implementation phase of that as well, actually looking for farmland and blown away by what I could find.
and your
But
farmland got blown away.
yeah, then Putin invaded. And a similar thing happened, with Cabo, right? That was another opportunity. And that's just over the border. I could fit in well at Cabo. In Cabo, I could, and there's a lot of Americans there.
hmm
And I looked at some other places, including even Japan for kind of like a late stage plan because it's quite expensive, and Portugal, where I was really surprised at how cheap I could get beautiful acreage in Portugal, and
Yep.
even like with village houses on it, for just pennies. Um, but
Well,
what happened?
a couple years ago, you could have got a property in Portugal for literally pennies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It what happened was in that journey, circumstance happened, and so opportunities changed, and I've made financial decisions, lost money, things of this nature. But also, I found in my research, I was surprised at how amazingly cost effective some of the opportunities are still here in America, uh, where I could stay in my country and actually be closer to people who are in my network than I am now out in the desert, and have a similar cost of living because
Arkansas,
yeah,
Arkansas,
place
Mississippi.
yeah, places around that area you get exactly, you get this beautiful delta enriched soil that you can grow on, right?
Mm-hmm.
In climately temperate areas with economic investment, and the prices are similar to third world countries. So I was gonna try my plans out here in the United States, where it would be almost as economically beneficial, but certainly a lot easier for me doing it all by myself and for the first time, right? Because I speak the language, I understand the culture. I'm an American genius, right? Like, I know my country. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? In Asia, I can't even find the bathroom.
And once you find a bathroom, depending on where you're at, it might be a hole on the ground, literally.
Yes, sir. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, you go.
Is that Frank?
Yeah, greetings, gentlemen. Blessings.
Blessings, Frank. Good to see you.
Hey,
This is Jay. I don't know if you guys have spoken before.
no, I don't think we
No,
spoke.
first time. Good to meet
Yeah.
you, man.
Nice to meet you as well.
What are you up to?
Oh, just chilling. I saw the open panel invite. Thought I'd step up and say hello. I recognize you from TML, right? I don't see your name on the screen though.
Yeah, Denizen. I'm at
Denizen.
TML a lot. Yeah, I love
That's
TML.
right.
That's one of my favorite YouTube channels right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Good magic, man. Good looking out. Appreciate you letting me up.
I think our friend 007 is somewhere behind the scenes working the magic. His
Yeah,
he's probably on his cell phone because I think he lost power.
Yeah, he lost power, huh? That was funny.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I thought it was just an issue with his camera overheating.
Yeah. I saw that camera like lose power essentially before he got kicked.
Yeah.
That's funny. You could see the energy drain out as the last image. Yeah, I would like to pick your brain, and maybe even bounce ideas off of you as I have them. That's why I asked if you Discord before, because I have like a small little Discord community where we talk about trading, alternative financial lifestyles, and how to get the best life out of your money and kind of become self-reliant, homesteading, growing food, that kind of thing.
I'll tell you what, drop your Discord link in the chat, and I will hit you up on Discord. I have a Discord that I just don't use. I mean, I've used it to like basically for like other, like I have a Discord for this game I used to play on computer. So I would go on Discord just to chat with that community for this game. This was like years ago, and so that's the only reason why you really use Discord. So I have it somewhere. I just have to open it back up. Hopefully I know my password and all that stuff. But if you just drop the link for your Discord, then I'll definitely tap in with that.
There you go.
All right. Hear me now?
Put that in the back chat for you. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's in the back chat. Let me go there real quick.
You sound different on your cell phone.
Yeah, it's going to sound completely different, man, because of the using the headset instead of a proper microphone. We've got a power cut here. They cut through a wire, doing whatever they're doing in my old room, and blew everything. There was I heard it. It happened just out there. It was a big bang, and all the lights went out, and so the router's gone off and everything. And I'm sat here on my phone. So you guys continue. I've missed most of it, man, because I've been trying to get the power back on, and for some reason they can't seem to do it. So
are you working by candlelight now? It looks like you're
No,
working by candlelight. Oh, okay.
it's a solar power, you can stick it in the sun. It's got a solar panel on it and we charge it in the sun. But yeah, that's all I've got at the moment. So I'll put it there like that. But you guys continue, carry on. I'm going to go and see what's going on.
The camera you're talking about, does that basically mean that the sensor aperture size is like 1.33 inches, cubed or squared, I guess?
Well,
Like the size.
the aperture is separate from the actual sensor size, so it uses a micro four thirds, which is like 4/3 inches, so it's a little bit bigger than an inch.
Right,
About
like an inch and a third.
inch. Yeah. And it's called a micro four thirds, and because of that design, you have an existing ecosystem of interchangeable lenses. So the camera itself is not technically it's not plug and play because you have to have a separate lens to mount. So you use a micro four thirds lens. For me, I have a Panasonic Lumix micro four thirds lens on this camera. The aperture currently is a 1.7 f1.7 aperture, and the lens itself, I believe it's I don't know if it's a 25 millimeter. I can't remember what size lens this is. I think it's a 25 millimeter, which is like a 50 millimeter on the I think it's like the equivalent of a 50 millimeter on a full frame camera. But because of the sensor size, like I said, you can have pretty
Low
outstanding
light situation.
yeah, without the noise. Like I have a
And a good frame rate too.
Oh, it's 60. It's 4K 60 FPS.
But even in low light conditions, which is, that due to that aperture size or that sensor size, like you said.
Well, then, yeah, the aperture allows me to operate in low light because, I mean, like it's really dark in here, but it looks like it's lighter than what it is on camera because I have the aperture set all the way open to the f1.7. And the good thing about the camera is that it has dual output, so I can simultaneously have a USB-C 3.2 USB-C 3.2 and the HDMI, so I can have two output and have two different sources. So like let's just say that I was a professional streamer and I want to live stream to my computer, then I want to record it to some external apparatus. I can do both of those things simultaneously. Like if I want to just make sure I have backup, it's really good. And then of course the autofocus works on this lens. This is an autofocus lens. It's a prime lens, so you can't use a zoom lens, but it does have autofocus, so that's good. And then you get the shallow depth of field too, so I can get the background blur. It's not digital. This is actual true black background blur because of the shallow depth of field of this lens. So
did you go to school for that at all, or just a hobby?
My dad went to school for photography. He did photography work. So I just know from my dad, being into photography. I'm not like really like a big photography guy. I do take pictures, but I'm not like, it's just basically for me. Like one of my big hobbies is I like to go out shooting. I used to be in the military, so I do shoot regularly, and so we go out and I like to take pictures, out in the wilderness. Like we go camping and stuff like that, and make little videos of shooting. So I actually have I have two Panasonic Lumix S9 full frame cameras that shoots in 6K open gate. So what that allows me to do is I can actually shoot the video in 6K. I could then, cut and crop the video, so I don't have to worry about getting the perfect shot. I could just get the shot, and then I can go back and edit it later because it's 6K. I can, cut it down to 1080p or 4K and still have room to spare. And then on top of that, with the 6K, I can actually, take some steals from the video and not lose a whole lot of clarity
Mm.
compared to like a regular photograph. So it's a really good
Have you
camera.
have you got a YouTube channel or an Instagram where you display some of your stuff?
No. This is just like for me. Like I just, just post my pictures like on Facebook and not, that stuff like that. Like it's not for
Right.
not for like
Public consumption.
yeah, I'm not like a public figure or anything like that. No, this is just like I was telling 007, like I have a lot of people that are subscribed to me just from me just hopping on panels back and forth and like just chatting in the chat. I'm not an actual content creator. And really and truly, I could never be a content creator in a serious capacity because being having transparent conversations can cost you your job in America. Some seemingly benign conversations can rub people the wrong way if you're being honest. So that's the
Yeah,
reason
true
why
facts.
huh?
Yeah, true facts cost you your job just about anywhere in the world these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have opinions on
It's cost me work
yeah.
as a
That's
musician.
the reason
Cost me
why
work
my
as a musician.
last employment was terminated as a result of being honest in an interview.
Yeah. It just, and that's my thing is like there's people who I believe are intentionally malicious in their diatribe. Like for instance, Nick Fuentes is an example of somebody who I believe is intentionally malicious. But then there's other people who may have controversial opinions, but I believe their dialogue is in good faith. Like they're not intentionally trying to be malicious. That's just how they feel. And they're not trying to embellish it for shock factor. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's people like there's a group of people here in the United States. They're establishing their own neighborhood, their own community, their own city. That's whites only. And there's a lot of people that are up in arms about it. But I think that if they want to have their own community, that shouldn't cost any of them their jobs. Like wanting to be separate. Now I've not opinions about it, the fact that they want to be separate in America. But if they bought the land and they want to have their own community, I don't think there's anything specifically wrong with that. And they shouldn't be in jeopardy of losing their livelihood because, they want to have their own community. But
Yeah, it seems like it's fairly common. Like there were quite a few black communities that built outside of Georgia, like New Babylon and stuff, and they're just entirely black communities.
Well, I think that their community in particular is different because they're excluding other people. Like you can't even buy a home in these communities. So it's not black. A lot of the black communities that you see are out of necessity because they just weren't allowed historically. It's relatively new in the grand scheme of things where certain areas where actually blacks are allowed to buy property even if they had the money. It was made extremely difficult for them to buy property there, and once they bought property there, for them to stay there was a challenge because of the harassment and things like that. It's a little bit different, but either way, I don't think it matters what the underlying reasons for them wanting their own community. I believe it's in Arkansas and Missouri. The fact of the matter is that if they bought the land, they can pick and choose wherever they want to be in there. I don't think that's a problem. But obviously that's not the public sentiment, and even just me having this opinion puts me in jeopardy because it's like, well, I'm supporting racism and bigotry by saying that they have the right to have their own community as whites. but
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. I don't think that there's
the
anything wrong.
Chinese been doing it since day one. That's what Chinatown is all about.
Japan.
Well, again, historically, Chinatown, there's reasons why that is. And I don't think that they try to make any like legislature per se, you know, or like bylaws that prevent other groups from coming into Chinatown. Like I know some people that live in Chinatown right now that aren't Chinese, for Chinatown to Seattle.
What about Israel? What about Israel? Isn't that, aren't they ethno-homogenous?
007 coming in with the IRL.
I think well Israel in particular, it's I would say probably about 90% European or Ashkenazi type Jews. But there's other groups that live there. There are Ethiopian Jews. There's even some Black Americans that live there. Hebrew Israelites. Or they claim to be original Israelites that live there. There's some. Yeah, there's even Palestinians that live in Israel. Small percentage though, obviously. Very limited numbers of people that are allowed to live there that are not Jews. But yeah, I do get your point. But that was kind of sanctioned by the rest of the world, or at least westernized powers. That was like a place that was kind of, set aside for them by Western powers at that time.
There was you know that there was actually a place set aside from in 1934 by Stalin called the Oblast, and it still exists there today. It's an entire in Russia. But and it's designed as a non-Zionist settlement. It's not meant to be a Zionist settlement. It's a non-Zionist settlement, and but they all choose to live in Israel, the Zionist settlement. So yeah, the argument that they're all Ashkenazi, that's why, because they're all bloody Zionists that live there.
Well, I think that Israel itself is supposed to, Israel, obviously there's religious significance. I mean, but if you read religious texts at all, then you would understand that the actual geographic location really has no significance in the grand scheme of things. But at any rate, there's, it's quote unquote the Holy Land. And so obviously there's a significant group of Jews that feel as though if there's no other place that they'd rather be than in Israel. And I'm gonna be honest, I really, I have a limited understanding of some of the intricacies, of this arrangement. I mean, I'm only on the outside looking in. I do have my opinions about it. I think that there's dysfunction, and I think that there is atrocities and wrongdoings on both sides. But unfortunately, I don't have a solution for that situation.
I mean, some would argue that the atrocities, in fact, both sides would argue that the atrocities being committed are because of the atrocities done by the other side. But if you go back in history, go back and look in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the atrocities actually came from the European Zionists coming in and causing atrocities, causing terrorism. They were known as the Zionist terrorists back then. And so anything that the occupied party has done has been in response or retaliation, or defense and self-defense. And what they're justifying now, what Israel is justifying now, is it's all based on a lie. Because if you trace it all back, it's the people that founded Israel that started it. They're the ones that went in and colonized and started it and caused all the issues and all the problems, because they didn't have issues and problems there before. They all lived together peacefully. There wasn't war in the Middle East.
Well, the tribe of Judea was run off by, was it the Canaanites? I'm bad at that part of history.
Well, you know how I feel about history. I think that it's been doctored to suit the narrative.
Absolutely.
So I don't really believe anything that they say about Canaanites and all this shit. It's been. I think we can only really look at the last couple of 100 years. Sorry, I'll mute up because these guys are chatting a lot.
Well, I think the part of the issue is that you know, that area, or just the Middle East in general. Let's just say the greater Middle East. Obviously, there's resources to be exploited there, and so it's always going to be beneficial to those looking to exploit that area that civil unrest persists,
Yeah.
right? Because as long as there's dysfunction there, there's ways to exploit the people that are dysfunctional. And so, unfortunately, I don't think that there will be a quote unquote solution per se. There will be an outcome. I don't know if the outcome will
Have you heard of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So when I found out what the Anglo-Persian Oil Company was, I was very young, and it changed my entire perspective on politics and the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom, and all the stories I was told about King George and the Revolution and all that patriotic nonsense. Oil makes the world go round.
I think one of the issues here is the fact that oil and oil, gas, and food have all been made commodities that can be owned by individuals, right? So you think energy and food are things that can be found in abundance, and therefore no one person or group of people should be allowed to own and control the supply of any of those commodities, right? They shouldn't be thought of as commodities anymore. They're essential to life, right? And because they're in abundance, they should be, those things should be distributed evenly.
Well, here's the issue. Even if the commodity itself, you feel as though if it should be free, the labor to actually produce the commodity or bring the commodity, that's the issue. So somebody has to get paid.
Not free. I just don't think that people should be allowed to put a price on things and control those prices, right? Manipulate those prices, like diamonds, right? Diamonds are useless apart from anything except engineering. They're
Especially
good
now.
right. But what De Beers did, turning them into this, this beautiful gem that women desired, they created a market for it and inflated the price.
And created the artificial scarcity to back up that price.
Right. And I think they've done the same with gold and silver. And I think they've done the same with oil and gas.
And they're doing it with food and real estate now.
Oh, we already know they do it with oil and gas because they're able to modulate the production and control when they release reserves to affect the price per barrel of oil. So we know that is being affected. And then on top of that, right, here's the other aspect that we don't really think about. If you live in a city, try to bring a cow to your house and tie it up in your backyard. Try to bring a rooster and some chickens and tie it up in your yard and put a pin in your yard. Try to dig an oil well if you live in a residential area. You just can't do it. It's illegal. And so that's part of what creates a little bit of scarcity, because nobody can really grow the amount of food that they need to sustain themselves in their immediate vicinity. There has to be specified zones where, you know, major agricultural operations are allowed to operate, and then you have to actually go to them to get food. So that already creates a barrier right there, having to, and then because of their distance from us, you already have an intermediary being a grocery store or a farmer's market. So at the bare minimum, you have that issue there. And then because of the volatility of farming and how, you know, one bad crop and the upfront capital cost necessary, that kind of makes it cost prohibitive for the regular person to really have a scaled operation. You know, you need government subsidy for a lot of farms to operate, and because of that, government's going to control it. So I don't really know a way around that, unfortunately, because I get what you're saying. I think that it's a problem, you know, how the prices of essential goods and services, they're so controlled. Again, this essentially, it boils down to not just governments, banks. If you follow the trail of money, it goes beyond the government. It's these banks that control even the governments themselves.
Give me the power to control a nation's currency, and I care not who writes her laws.
Control their currency or control their economy. I watched that Rothschild movie the other day that was made in 1934 about the Rothschilds. And
what's the name of the movie?
Sorry, what's the name of the movie? I think it's just called The Rothschilds.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very stereotypical portrayal of the Jewish man, right? The banker, Jewish banker. The portrayal of Amschel Rothschild is, you know, stereotypical. But in that story, they lie through their teeth. They paint Rothschild as a hero that saved Britain when he was really a fucking money launderer who nearly bankrupted Britain and then took advantage of that and brought up the Bank of England to then control the money supply to the English Commonwealth, right? Or certainly to England. And I spoke about it the other day about, you know, how these people have pulled off these huge swindles, but the sums of money are so huge. It's everybody just sit, all the people at the top, they just sit back and give them a round of applause. Say, "Well, well played. You played this one nicely, and keep your spoils." Right? When it just infuriates me as well that the people, we're talking about the bankers, right? The surnames of all these bankers all come from the same fucking place. They're all the same, you know. These are these families that we're talking about, and then you get called anti-Semitic or whatever if you point out the fact that you've noticed that a certain demographic seems to be in a massive amount of ownership and control of real key aspects of society.
Yeah,
who's just joined us.
They continue to perpetrate the narrative through the school system as well. Like I currently work in academia, and the books are all geared towards lauding these people as heroes and saviors, you know, and they're to be looked up to as, you know, the high achievers and stuff. And the kids are taught that They should, rest on every word they have to say. Greetings, beloved.
Greetings,
I
Jess.
actually
How you
come up
doing?
here for a reason. Yeah, 007, I do owe you all an apology. The last time that I raided your channel, I kind of reacted in a way that I probably shouldn't. I was too quick to react, and I probably should have actually given you a message instead of reacting like that at you about stuff that your mods were doing in the chat. That was my bad.
Don't worry about it. No hard feelings.
I appreciate that. Like, I've made some mistakes along this YouTube stuff of being a creator and stuff, but I try to right my wrongs, and when I'm in the wrong, I generally own it. So yeah, my apologies for that.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'm the same. And I mean, I've made so many mistakes on YouTube, man. So yeah, no hard feelings. I don't, like I said, like I always say, I don't hold grudges. And it was just in the moment, man. It was a hot moment, and since then, I've actually banned him. I've banned him from the StreamYard channel. I've banned him from my channel. I told him not to bother coming back because he's yeah. I can't be asked with people that just can't act their age,
I've done that too. I banned a couple of admins and moderators. Like, Are We Not Men isn't at my channel anymore.
Well, I don't know how much of the conversation you caught. I don't know if you want to contribute to this one.
No, I sent a raid over here, and I just thought that I should come up and apologize after the last time that I raided your channel and how that ended, and that I was.
Well, I really appreciate it, Jess. I really appreciate it because you said you weren't going to do it again, so I do appreciate it.
I know, but I made that mistake, so I was too quick to react. I should have just given you a message, creator to creator, instead of doing that over one of your mods. I've had mods do shit that I don't agree with and stuff, so
yeah,
my bad.
We give out these wrenches, don't we? And don't. I've given out wrenches willy-nilly, man. There's loads of people that I don't even know have got wrenches. That's why on my
me.
No, I know you, Denizen. I got my old channel back.
Hey, Jess.
I got my old channel back, the Magic Treehouse. I got that back, so nobody's got wrenches in there. I've taken everybody's wrench away in the Magic Treehouse, and I'm going to have a channel that doesn't have wrenches in it. I'm just going to compare the two.
That's interesting. I took a lot of wrenches away in the last few weeks, and I removed a couple of admins that I had, like people that had keys to the panels and stuff. I removed a lot of that. There was a lot of problems being caused, so I had to get rid of a lot of that kind of shit.
It's because of feelings, man. It's feelings. Everybody's gets up in their feelings about shit.
Yeah, that was exactly why. Exactly why. Oh shit.
Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming up and saying that. Thank you.
No worries. I can stay for a little bit, but I'll have to. It's like midnight here. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'll have to go to bed soon. But I can stay for a bit. I'll just shut up so you guys can keep talking because I have no idea what you were talking about.
No worries. I've had a power cut here, so I'm on my phone, and I'm just they're sorting out the power now. They're trying to sort out the power now. So yeah, I don't know how long my phone battery's going to last, but we were talking about resources and commodities and the control of, and whether it. I'd said, unfortunately, lads, I'm sorry, I can only remember what I said. That having energy and food as commodities that can be controlled by individuals or groups of individuals, I think that's the issue. That's what our problem is, because those things we can have in abundance. There's an abundance of energy. There's an abundance of food. There's an abundance of shelter. There could be an abundance of shelter, but we've turned them into commodities that have value, monetary value assigned to them. That then obviously greedy people like to control the supply of and control the price of. We've talked about people rigging the market so that they can increase their own personal wealth and their own personal control of certain commodities or whatever. I can't remember where we got to.
Well, you were talking about specific groups of individuals who appear to be the common denominator when it comes to.
Oh yeah. I was talking about the goos. No, yeah. The families that are there, because we all acknowledge, right, that the actual issue, the people that always profit, the people that always come out on top are the bankers and the banking families, and that's where the issue lies, right? So who are those banking families? Well, they all seem to come, like a large majority of them come from a certain demographic. But then we'll get labelled if we say that, if we notice it. So, oh no, you're anti-Semitic for thinking that.
Well, yeah, we do got to watch our P's and Q's because we are on YouTube.
Mm.
Well, I guess the question then becomes: is the prosperity of those particular families, does it extend to the aggregate as a whole, or that particular demographic from which they emanate from?
No.
So, well, I mean, I guess the argument can be made that because of their influence, that they receive a lot of assistance that they wouldn't normally get. You refer to the country of origin, or the new country of origin, if you want to say it that way. The new country of origin, the nexus, if you will, for that particular demographic, they receive an inordinate amount of aid due to the power and influence of individuals from that particular demographic. So I guess from that particular perspective, you can say that the aggregate does in fact benefit from the prosperity of the select few.
Yeah, they just don't experience the same quality of life.
Agreed.
And we kind of,
again, like, so, you know, and I was having this argument with somebody who was talking about you know, everybody could be, you know, wealthy if just the rich would just, you know, if they just took all the money from the wealthy, blah blah blah. Obviously, the problem with that is there would be re-stratification at some point. There's people that just either want more or willing to work harder, so you would have some level of re-stratification, even if you redistributed the wealth. But
it's this illusion that having lots of money will make you happy.
Well, if everybody has a lot of money, does everybody have a lot of money? Because then the actual what is the extreme, what is the median, what is wealthy, what is not, all that changes if everybody had the same amount of money. Because part of and that's why I think that people calcify wealth, is because they understand that if everybody was wealthy, then the allure that they have of being wealthy, the things that, even if they were able to maintain some semblance of the lifestyle that they live, it wouldn't have any significance unless there's people that don't have what they have. There
It's
has
the same
to be
with the average of everything. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the average of any average that you do that, if something is above average and the majority of people are above that so-called average, whether it's looks, money, or whatever, then that becomes the new average. It's not anything, like you're saying, significant anymore. Whether that's looks, whether it's money, whether it's status, doesn't matter what it is. It would be the same.
But also, there's things that, say, for instance, if I have, let's say I'm a billionaire, right? That already puts me at the top 0.0000001% of the population globally, right? I can get pretty much anybody to do whatever I want them to do, just based on the promise of money. I can say, here, look it, because let's just say, if you say, what is the one thing that you wouldn't do? And then you say, oh, I wouldn't, do X, Y, and Z, right? And I say, okay, I'll give you $1 million to do it. And you may say, no, I wouldn't do that. Okay, I'll give you 2 million, 3 million. At some point, you're going to say, well, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, I know I said I wouldn't do this, but for 10 million, right? So that's where not only the wealth itself, but the discrepancy between your wealth and those around you. That's why that has significance, because now you have power. That's what we were talking about earlier, is, how they are so intertwined, the wealth and the power aspect. And I think that's the reason why, people who have the power, who have the wealth, will do what it takes to maintain it, even if it means, let me just give somebody else a little bit of money to keep you at bay. You'll put some leader, what they call puppet leader, in place to maintain the status quo. I'll give this puppet leader a little bit of wealth, not even a percentage of what I have, just so I don't have to give everybody else money, because it's cheaper to pay that one person than to pay everybody else.
I think we could raise the floor. I don't think the Pareto distribution scale is effective or efficient when it comes to human communities.
Wait, say it again.
I don't think Pareto distribution is effective or efficient when it comes to human communities.
Can you explain that a little bit? What is that?
Like the natural tendency for the accumulation of wealth to be in a few hands, right? Like how many people are going to be world famous violinists? How many people are going to be trillionaires? And I don't want human beings to be in contrast to nature, but let's just say we have to be in some ways. Like entropy is the nature of all things. Do we really want to live in a decaying society? Do we have to? Maybe we do.
What has history shown us? That you start from a position of dysfunction and short-sightedness. Then you aggregate resources that allows you to expand your projections for the future. Now you can think in terms of years in advance as opposed to just days in advance, because you have discretionary resources. And then, but what that yields is complacency. People no longer have the drive. I forgot what you guys were talking about earlier, but I made a comment about how, so somebody in the comment made a remark about the lowering testosterone that has resulted. And my argument was that, well, men don't lead the lifestyles that they once led. We know there's a lot more sedentary occupations. You don't have to hunt for everything that you eat. And then for a man to function in a society, I think it requires a more docile temperament, which will preclude high testosterone levels. And so because of that, now you have less conflict, you have more complacency, more comfort, and then because of that, you have more latitude for dysfunction, because now I don't have to be a productive citizen. I don't have to be a productive member of society, because I can rely on the residual productivity of others. People who are overly productive, I can rely on their productivity for my sustenance. I don't have to be productive on my own. I don't have to go hunt for food. I can, get handouts from other people. Not necessarily saying everybody does that, but just to give you an example.